that's smooth and sweet. Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey can make anyone a whiskey fan. 32.5% alcohol, 65 proof. Pick up a bottle and feel Twisky today with Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey.
Guide to entertainment. It's the Diamond Days of Summer Sale at Cutting Edge Jewelry. Save 25% off the entire inventory of natural diamonds. 25% off diamonds at Cutting Edge is huge. Get to Sicky's Garage every Wednesday for your chance to win a Street Bob 114 Harley-Davidson motorcycle, a trip to Las Vegas, a trailer, and more. Every Wednesday at Sicky's. It's the 2023 Glendon Days Festival. Activities all week long, sponsored by Midco. Saturday, don't miss the parade at 9:30, followed by our craft and vendor show, food trucks, inflatable games, and more. GlendonMN.com.
Nutrisource Pet Foods has been making pet food in Perham since 1964. And now they're going full circle. They've designed their products to help your pets live healthier, happier lives. Just like us, pets get sick of eating the same thing over and over again. Switch up your pet's food with rotational feeding to ensure your pet is getting the best possible nutrients. Rotational feeding is as easy as sit, shake. Take a quiz at NutrisourcePetFoods.com and score a full circle diet plan for your pet.
At Cardinal IG, they don't just create innovative glass solutions, they foster a culture of collaboration and teamwork. Their employees bring a wealth of experience and expertise to every project and deserve to be celebrated. This August, Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on Ollie Noor, who is celebrating 20 years, Okabai Eaves celebrating 10 years, Taiwu Solomon and Daniel Mawa both celebrating 5 years at Cardinal IG. From the entire team, thank you. To view open positions or to apply, visit CardinalFargo.com.
Sicky's Garage. 50 burgers, 50 brews, and more.
Summertime is made for getting out and soaking up the sun. Add in motorcycles, free beer, live music, and tons of prizes. You'll have bike night every Wednesday at Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews. Every Wednesday, 5 to 9 throughout the summer. Don't forget your free punch card. The more punches you have, the more tickets you'll get for the end of season grand prizes, like a bike trailer, trip for two to Las Vegas, a 2023 Street Mob 114, and more. We'll see you at Sicky's.
Gateway Chevrolet's lot is loaded with new Chevy Silverados. Stop by and take a test drive and find out how you can save $7,250 on a new Chevy Silverado at Gateway Chevrolet. The new Silverados are more versatile, more powerful, plus the best-looking truck with more technology and safety benefits than any other truck in the market. So head over to Gateway Chevrolet and save $7,250 on a new Silverado with trade, only at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
We begin in college sports, where ESPN reports that ACC presidents met this morning for an exploratory call on the possibility of adding Cal and Stanford. No vote was taken. The league still evaluating the potential decision. NFL media reports the New England Patriots are signing veteran pass rusher Trey Flowers. Flowers played the first 4 seasons of his career with the Patriots, winning 2 Super Bowls. He'd since played for the Lions and Dolphins. Sportico has released its annual franchise valuations, and the most valuable sports franchise in the world is the Dallas Cowboys at $9.2 billion. Their value grew 20% in the past year alone.
Put me in, Coach. I'm hot.
I'll say. Anyway, the second highest valued team in North America is the Golden State Warriors, followed by the New York Yankees. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
Bison Pride, everything we do. This one's for you, Corso, wherever you are. Give me that Bison.
This is the Insiders on Bison 1660, covering the world of NDSU sports like no other.
North Dakota State advances to the round of 32. Touchdown, Bison!
The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Welcome to your green and gold HQ for the Bison. The Insiders on Bison 1660 starts now.
Here we go. Happy Tuesday. Insiders here on Bison 1660. Sam Niederman, Andy Rickoff, Micah Bindi here with you. Glad that you're along for the ride. If you want to get in on the action, Epic Companies hotline 701-476-1660. 701-476-1660. You can also get involved with our studio email presented by Rick Electric. That's studio@bison1660.com. Andy, good to see you, my man. You are rocking a fresh look today.
Thank you.
If you want to check it out on our CNH Industrial Cam, you can watch the live stream of our show, too. Andy has got the blue light glasses on today.
Yep, some blue light glasses from our good friends at S&S Promotionals.
Got to give them the love, yeah.
Brad Ness. They've been around the station before. He stopped in, and these are from them. But just trying to, stay, I'm on my phone a lot. It's a lot of computer time in the industry, especially with football. So taking care of the eyes a little. Blue light glasses. Plus, I've been told they look good. I think they look good. So
they do.
Going with it.
Yeah, and I think they give you just like a different edge.
Mm-hmm.
You look like a new man when you walked in today.
Clark Kent, almost.
Very Clark Kent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Goes with the haircut.
Thank you.
And you've also got this very, very sleek NDSU Bison basketball.
Correct.
It's like
hoodie.
Kind of like a Bill Belichick almost.
It's got a little like gator or something or whatever they call it. The new style of hoodies nowadays from our good friends over at Learfield with NDSU. Obviously, you and I both connected with them a little bit as well. So just, they give us the hookup a little bit and trying out some of the new gear and see how it looks, see how it fits. But I'm wearing it for a special reason. You can see, North Dakota State Bison basketball. Obviously, it's football season, and volleyball and soccer got going last night with their exhibition against Minnesota. So all about the fall sports. But there's a post yesterday for NDSU women's basketball on Twitter, like 3 months till basketball season. It had Heaven Hamlin on it. Just kind of got me in a little bit of a basketball mood early on. Like, obviously, football's here. We're going to talk plenty of football. We have time to do that. And I was feeling basketball yesterday a little bit. Heaven Hamlin got a really good opportunity to maybe become the most or make the most threes in her NDSU career in program history. She's, I believe, 79 away from the all-time record. She made 75 last season. Kind of got me going. And then NDSU men's basketball, I want to ask you about this because they're down in Costa Rica. And I'm what are you doing here? I mean, come on.
I know, man. I did not get an invite, unfortunately. But Coach Richmond and the fellas, they seem to be enjoying a little Pura Vida, as they call it down there. I've been seeing the photos. For those, if you do not know, Andy is the voice of NDSU Women's Hoops. I'll be the voice of the NDSU Men's Squad. So we'll be all over that once we get to tip-off in November. Schedules are out in the Summit League. Those came out. We've got a good picture of the non-con for those squads as well. I'm really excited for NDSU hoops on both sides. NDSU women coming off of their best season in years. You had a front row seat for that. And the NDSU men, a year older now. They were the baby Bison last year. Very young. They've only got one senior this year. Bowden Skunberg will be the undisputed leader for that squad. I love what they brought in with Derek Dissett, Mr. Basketball from Minot here in North Dakota. Saw a video of him getting up and getting a dunk down in Costa Rica. Excited what he brings to the table. It sounded like in Coach Richmond's interview that they did 2 days ago, Jeremiah Burke, new JUCO transfer that they brought in from Iowa, he had a nice game for them. They're kind of hoping that he can step up in that sort of small forward role that we saw with Grant Nelson last year. So a little bit of NDSU hoops talk for you on Tuesday in early August.
I just saw the posts on Twitter and it kind of got me in a basketball mood. They were playing games. The men's team was. The women's team's like 3 months away. And, football is here. All excited about football. But, some love to basketball today. So I'm wearing the new sweatshirt.
Well, speaking of football, we've got a big football show lined up for you. Going to have a couple of guests on later in this first hour. Zach Kaplan from ABC Fox Montana. He will join us and cover the Big Sky. He covers Montana, so he is very familiar with the Grizz. He also knows Brent Vigen's Bobcats very well at Montana State, so he'll be all over Montana, Montana State, and the Big Sky, one of the best conferences in the FCS. And he had his preseason ballot the other week that we were going to have to ask him about that. He has Idaho winning the Big Sky with Montana State second, and he also is buying a little bit of that UC Davis hype that we're seeing. He picked them third. So we'll be all over Big Sky with Zach Kaplan at 11:30 today. Then later on at noon, Jay Elsen joins us on the Missouri Valley Mix, Midcoast Sports, voice of the USD Coyotes. He will talk USD with us, their fall camp underway, and get his glimpse on the Valley overall. Of course, we talked about the FCS Top 25 coming out yesterday. NDSU checking in at number 2. Not many surprises there with South Dakota State as the unanimous number 1 team of the country. But we begin with some scheduling news for Bison football that came out just moments ago, Andy. SEMO being added to the NDSU 2025 schedule that completes the non-conference portion of the Bison schedule for 2025. SEMO, the defending Ohio Valley Conference champs, coming off an FCS playoff berth. They went 9-3 a year ago. We will now have that game in the Fargo Dome in 2025. Your thoughts as that news just came out a couple hours ago?
Before we mention it, I'm going to let Micah relieve himself. He was on edge. He wanted to press the breaking news sounder. Micah, go ahead. There you go. If you don't do it, he's going to get cranky, and so he wants.
See, that's what happens when you got me hosting the show for the second day.
Yeah. I didn't tell you about that. We got a special breaking news sounder, so he's all about that one back there. Breaking news. Not right now, but it was a little bit earlier this morning. That's huge news. 2025 schedule. Maybe it seems a ways away, but it's not that far away in the scheduling world. You'll schedule games, and they got the Oregon game for 2028, and I think Alabama's got a game for like 2035 or something like that, with Minnesota already booked out. So to have the 2025 schedule kind of finalized there for the non-conference is good, and it's a quality team at the FCS level. SEMO's been a playoff team. They've been right there at the very top of the OVC for quite a while. They've played a lot of Missouri Valley teams recently. Last year, they just, not just last year, they played this team quite often in Southern Illinois, beat up on Southern Illinois pretty darn bad. They made the Salukis look bad early on last year in, I believe, week 1, putting up something like 60 points on them. So this is a quality team, a team coming into the Fargo Dome as well. And I think that's going to be one that the fans, you see that team come in, and that's one where early on you can kind of, test yourself. Where do we stack up with another team that could very likely be a champion of their conference and very likely could be a playoff team? You might even see them twice that year. Wouldn't it be shocking?
NDSU continues to round out its non-conference schedule for future seasons. SEMO will come to the Fargo Dome September 13th, 2025. That'll be week 3. They've got the Citadel on the road in Charleston, South Carolina, week 1. That's August 30th, 25. And then the week after, the Bison take on Nashville, and they go down to Tennessee State, Eddie George's Tennessee State. That is going to be a fun trip. We know how well Bison Nation travels. I think NDSU, Bison Nation, in Nashville 2025 is going to be a sight to see.
The 2 weeks are going to be a sight to see because Charleston, South Carolina, and then Nashville, and they're not too far away. There's probably going to be some fans that just make a week and a half or so out of it and make it a little bit of a longer trip. I know our good buddy Mark in America is not too upset about those ones. He down in that part of the country will definitely be happy about those games, or is happy about those games. But it's always fun to get to some new cities, some different places. Bison Nation, as you will find out and probably already know, is ever expanding, and it stretches all the way across the country. You never know when you'll find another pocket of Bison supporters out there. So those will be really, really fun games. And then you add in a good home game as well, again, against a very competitive team. Was 9-3 a season ago, 5-0 record there in their conference, made their fourth FCS playoff appearance, ended up losing to Montana in the first round, but there was some controversy around that game of, it was played in Montana, even though SEMO was the better team there, and the bidding process was a little bit of a fight back and forth, but they're a team that makes the playoffs. That's a quality get.
Yeah, now the non-conference schedules for NDSU are complete through 2026. In 26, they'll have East Tennessee State at home. That's part of a home-and-home. They'll be going to Johnson City in 24. That's next season. At Central Arkansas in 26. That's part of a home-and-home. They will be here later on in September this season. And then Austin Peay at the Fargo Dome in 2026. Of course, the big one that would have happened during COVID in 2020 was Oregon. That game bumped all the way back to 2028. We talked about that a little bit last week with some of the scheduling, or not scheduling changes, realignment, which, by the way, we're going to tamper down the realignment a little bit, the realignment talk. We were talking about it off the air, and it was funny when we had Brett McMurphy on yesterday. I said, hey, well, we'll talk football with you next time, right? We'll actually talk a little bit of ball next time we have you on in the season. He said, what's football? Absolutely right. We'll tamper down the realignment and talk some ball here as we approach kickoff. But
realignment itself's not tampering down, but we'll tamper it down.
Yeah, no, it's still going to go. It's still going to go. But until something in concrete, the hypotheticals and all that, done. I'm done.
No exploratory searches and calls for you?
No.
No?
No. I'm not interested in adding Oregon State to the American or Wazoo to the ACC or any of that. I'm done. We're not doing it.
What if we go international? What if it's like London University in England or Oxford, rumored to be joining the ACC? Not a fan?
No.
Okay.
At that point, no. It's at that point, it's Premier League soccer, you know? And this kind of reminded, the last thing I'll say about it kind of reminded me, remember when in soccer they were talking about the super leagues, right? Making that one, you would probably be a little more versed on it than I was. Wasn't there supposed to be some sort of super league?
They were basically talking about the best teams from the Premier League, best teams from all the major leagues in Europe. You know, whether it be in La Liga in Spain, Serie A in Italy, like the best teams from every individual league in every country, kind of making the super league because they were the teams that make the most revenue, they have the best players, they draw the most eyeballs, and they were going to make one massive league for all of Europe. And fans were like, "No, you're not." They revolted. There was riots in the streets. They were shutting down an entire city for days, and the fans got basically, stopped it. Like, it's basically what it was. Like, it was pretty close to happening. It was definitely a very real thing. It wasn't exploratory at all. It was a very real thing, and the fans got so irate about it that they kind of put a stop to it and said, "You're not disbanding the Premier League and all these other leagues and taking away, the bottom level teams from the Premier League and making this big super league."
Yeah, I think the local angle of it definitely prevailed, and we're kind of seeing the opposite here with college football. But anyway, we're going to put that to the side. We also have a little concert ticket giveaway that we're going to be doing today. Some good shows are going to be coming through the Fargo Dome if you want to fill in the audience on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we do this every once in a while, some great concert announcements, and obviously some people might know Def Leppard and Motley Crue, the World Tour, coming to the Fargo Dome here on Friday, August 11th this week. We've got some tickets to give away for that here on the show. We'll give them away at the end of the program. How do you win them, you say? Well, we will give you a keyword. That keyword is rock to 701-476-1660. Text rock to that number. And you are registered to win a pair of tickets to Def Leppard and Motley Crue at the Fargo Dome here on Friday, August 11th for the World Tour.
That's going to be big time. Big time. So text that keyword rock, R-O-C-K.
And, in the USA.
Yeah, that's right. Good song right there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a huge story that came out in Major League Baseball and went viral last night with Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown punished for really doing nothing wrong at all. That's coming up next here on The Insiders on Bison 1660.
Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
I think what makes Proceed win is we're different than the other companies in many ways with our programming, our simplicity, our non-corporate attitudes, and our personal relationship building.
What Proceed is, we bring back the old-fashioned seed buying experience. We're true seedsmen. We care about everything from the sale to the planting to following up afterwards. That's what we're all about, is just trying to bring that experience back to a personal level.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
If there's one thing I know about farmers, it's that they are resilient. This is Scott Zolandic with Cornerstone Bank. Farmers are known to rise to ever-changing challenges, whether it be higher land prices and rent costs, risk management, or diversification. Cornerstone Bank offers an experienced team that you can turn to. If you're looking to save, borrow, or spend, Cornerstone Bank will find the best financial options for business, ag operations, and your personal needs. Come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't miss Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo flash sale going on now through August 14th. It's time to relax and enjoy a rebate. You'll receive a $500 instant rebate, plus smart tub upgrade for only $99. If you've been thinking about getting a hot tub, now is the time during their flash sale going on until August 14th at Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo. Your wellness journey begins with a hot tub. Bring the power of hydrotherapy to your backyard oasis. Stop by today and experience the jacuzzi difference, or online at jacuzzihottubsoffargo.com.
Don't miss the Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack in January 2024 at the Fargo Dome. With the goal of packing 10 million meals in just 10 days, this is the largest FMSC event ever held. They're looking for 55,000 volunteers to help make this happen. By giving just 2 hours of your time, you can help feed kids in need. But to make this event possible, they need your help raising the $3.3 million necessary to pay for food and facility expenses. Visit fargopack.org to donate or learn about corporate sponsorship opportunities.
Attention, attention! Are you an electrical journeyman or apprentice? Then we want you. JDP Electric is looking for journeymen and apprentices, and we're hiring immediately. JDP offers competitive pay, incentives, and a fun team to work with. If you're not happy where you're at, we'll make it worth your time to check out why you should join the JDP team. JDP is a family-owned and operated business that's been around this region for over 20 years. Apply online at jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Hey, it's Kyle Emanuel, former defensive end for the Bison. I have always tried to surround myself with people I trust and who want me to succeed. It's been my life motto, and this is so true when you are choosing your insurance game plan, which is why I have the good neighbors of Ryan Kill State Farm on my team. Ryan made finding the right insurance plan so simple. I told him my priorities, and he gave me clear options so I could make an educated decision without pressure or a hidden agenda. There are so many insurance agencies, but not many as great as Ryan Kill State Farm.
If you want a good neighbor on your sideline, reach out by going to RyanKillInsurance.com.
Gearing up for another season of Bison football? We've got you covered each and every day on the Insiders on Bison 1660.
I could not believe what happened in Major League Baseball last night with the news of Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown getting suspended by Baltimore Orioles management for doing nothing wrong at all. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was incredible. It got a ton of reaction from the broadcasting community. A lot of play-by-play broadcasters around Major League Baseball either taking to social media or calling it out during broadcasts of their own while calling games last night. Kevin Brown, who's a young broadcaster for the Baltimore Orioles, doing an opening segment while Baltimore was down in Tampa at Tropicana Field. And it was incredible. I could not believe it, Andy. I watched this clip that apparently he was punished for, and the guy was just run-of-the-mill, standard broadcasting, just talking about a storyline about how the Orioles have struggled at the Trop in recent years. I think they had lost their last 15 series or something like that. They even had a graphic with it on the screen. He's just playing to the graphic. His tone was absolutely fine. He was not disgusted or, being unprofessional about it. Just delivered the goods. And it comes out he's suspended indefinitely for just delivering a storyline. I couldn't believe it.
I know we've got the audio for you, but when the news first came out, you see it quickly and go, broadcasters suspended indefinitely, MLB, Orioles. And, first thing that comes to my mind is, man, what did he say?
Right.
Like, you said something dumb, hot mic got you when you thought you were in a break or something. Wasn't that at all. It was, it wasn't something he's didn't mean to say. This was planned. It was absolutely 100% planned. As you said, the Orioles are having a great year. They're leading the AL East. They're playing well. It's a really fun story. It's a young team, bunch of younger players, and having a phenomenal year. And he was just pointing out that they haven't been very good against the Rays, especially in Tampa. It was factual. There was nothing incorrect about it. And the part that floors me the most, and you'll hear this when we play the clip for you, he wasn't the only one in on it. This was not something he just kind of went rogue and said, we're going to do this. We're going to talk about how they haven't won a lot down in Tampa, but they're winning right now. There was a graphic for it, which tells me somebody else had to make the graphic. There was a producer that made the graphic. There's the executive producer of the entire broadcast for Masson, MASN out there, and they were all in on it. This was in a production meeting. They all agreed we should talk about this. And he's the only one being punished for it, I guess, but because he was the one talking on air. But it was ridiculous to me.
Let's play the clip. If you haven't heard it, here it is. This is Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown. He got suspended for saying this. Take a listen.
This has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
Even that detail at the end there, he starts to flip it to the positive. Hey, this isn't your conventional Orioles team that struggled here. They've actually got a winning record here against Tampa, which is obviously a huge contender in that division as well. I couldn't believe it. That's pre-planned. They had it in the truck. That was a segment. They even had the music going, which means the audio person in the truck knew it was coming. The graphics person knew it was coming. He delivers it professionally. It's an insightful storyline. I couldn't believe he got suspended. This is part of the play-by-play guy in me who's trying to stand up for another play-by-play guy. But incredible. There must have been some sort of personal vendetta against him or what. I don't know what the explanation or rationalization could be for getting suspended over that, because that's just standard broadcast. Nobody was sitting there on their couch watching that and being like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? He's going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, Peter Angelos, the owner, I believe, is the one that made the decision. I just can't believe it. It's just it's thin-skinned. Maybe you don't love it talking about, man, we've only won 3 games in the last 3 years here. I also like how he opened it up too I think the very first line he said in that clip was, this has maybe been the toughest ballpark to play in.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, everyone talks about that when you go down to Tropicana Field, you go down to the Trop, they've got the catwalks that always play a factor a couple of times a year where it's like a weird thing happens. They hit the catwalk and it's a home run or a fair ball or something. They've got the AstroTurf, and it's really, the ball bounces off of there. Like, weird things happen. It is a difficult place to play. So we even kind of gave that qualifier. And at the very end saying, it's not like the Rays all of a sudden are bad, and that's why we're finally beating them. They were a really good team. We're just that much better this year. Your job as a play-by-play guy, and you know this, tell the story. Yeah, it's called the game. It's tell you what's happening, but tell the story of this team that the fans want to hear. And the fans, if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, you probably weren't listening a lot the last couple of years. Outside of maybe the first 2 months of the season, you're like, another month dead, or another year dead, because we're not very good. So he's giving you insights, telling you the story about the Baltimore Orioles. Like, we haven't had success here. We are this year. Now, I tried to even look at it from the other side. Put myself in the shoes of Peter Angelos and the ownership there, and what did they hear? Okay, maybe he's a little, you could say it's a little critical. Maybe you're harping on it a little bit much. It'd be one thing if every broadcaster, everywhere they went, he would, Peter Brown was opening it up with, like, man, we have really struggled here and here and here. And maybe that would be a bit much, but from everything we've read and I can see, this is the only time this has really happened. He's just given an insightful storyline.
It was just good broadcasting, man. It was just good broadcasting. Solid production all around, the entire crew. It's a shame that had to happen. So I hope that this suspension gets reversed, because I think it was indefinite. But it was good to see all the other broadcasters. We were talking about it. Gary Cohen, voice of the New York Mets on SNY, had some pretty strong words for it. I think Susan Waldman, John Sterling, the Yankees radio crew, they were even talking about it. But really interesting stuff. Twins also is sticking with baseball. Big win last night. They are now 5 in a row here. Correa went yard. Jeffers goes yard. And the Twins beginning to mount a cushion in the AL Central.
Yeah, if Kevin Brown wants a job, I think every team will take Kevin Brown for sure to call any other games. And I love what Dick Bramer does as well. So it was a crazy story. I can't believe that they went so far to suspend him for that stuff. Hopefully that gets reversed, because it makes Baltimore look small. But yeah, the Twins, I'm thinking August 27th, Micah, when they clinch the division. I think we should get the prediction board. I think we should start like we did when they won their first couple of games of the year. We should get the magic number. We should start looking at that.
Yeah, we forgot to keep up with the magic number. Once they started struggling after the first 3 weeks, they went through the hot streak, then the cold streak. We all find the magic number. That's my task.
I was going to say that's a tough. I forget the calculation for magic number. There's some formula for it, right?
Games
left,
and then the amount of games.
We were covering it when it was I think 120 or 140 games, something like that at the beginning of the season, but. And the other thing that's interesting about the Twins now, too, we talk about how bad the AL Central is. It's always been they're leading the Central, but they're worse than every team in the American League East. They're now better than the Yankees and the Red Sox. 60 and 54, Yankees and Red Sox 58 wins on the season for both of them. They're better than two teams in the AL West, the Angels and the Athletics. The Angels have really fallen off since the trade deadline. Not good for Shohei Ohtani's future there, probably, after they gave away a bunch of prospects, and still not very good. But they're better than a couple of teams, and right there tied with the Mariners as well in the AL West. So there we go, Twins. Let's go.
Twins in the driver's seat. Our next guest, who we'll have after this upcoming break, Zach Kaplan, big Red Sox fan. So we'll have to get his take on how the Bo Sox have just kind of fallen out of that AL East race. Big base running blunder, too, the other day. I don't know if you saw that. Getting doubled off at second to lose a game against Toronto, I think it was.
Not a team you want to lose to. They're just ahead of them in the wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. This first hour of the Insiders is brought to you by All-Star Construction. Now is the time to get your residential or commercial roofing project done with All-Star Construction. With stable prices, there's no better time to schedule your appointment. Schedule your free estimate by calling 701-478-ROOF or visit them online at allstarfargo.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Zach Kaplan of ABC Fox Montana will join us, breaking down all things Big Sky football and the Montana schools. We'll have that for you after this.
North Dakota State football plays here. Bison 1660.
Brain health is our priority. Whether it's post-concussion, post-COVID, or mental health, your brain health is the most important part of who you are. At Healing with Hyperbarics, we are using 100% oxygen to treat your brain the natural way. We use Right Eye, a dynamic vision test, to look at the brain-eye communication. Give us a call and book an appointment for a free Right Eye test in our clinic through the end of June. We are located off of 45th Street in Fargo in the Crown Jewels Plaza. Learn more at our website, healingwithhyperbarics.com.
This month at Corwin Toyota, trade in your vehicle and receive a $2,500 trade-in assist on select new models. That's $2,500 in extra cash towards your new Toyota. And when you trade, you are eligible for financing as low as 3.99%. With over 170 new vehicles to choose from online, we have the perfect match waiting for you. If you're not looking to buy but need extra cash, that's okay. We'll pay you top dollar for your vehicle. Head to Corwin Toyota today or shop online at corwinauto.com.
Get ready for a night of non-stop fun with Tommy James and the Shondells. Friday, September 22nd, Shooting Star Casino, Hotel, and Entertainment in Monoman. With the legendary Tommy James and the Shondells. Tickets are on sale now at starcasino.com.
Just because you own a pontoon doesn't quite make it a party barge until you visit Sight on Sound. That beauty was an investment into fun. Make sure you take your Bluetooth marine audio to the next level with brands like Kicker, Alpine, and Sony. Get noticed for style and safety when you get that tricked out LED lighting with Sight on Sound. Get to Sight on Sound today to see all the exciting options for this summer. Online, sightonsoundfargo.com.
Bring it on home from Sight on Sound.
Sight on Sound, Main Avenue, Fargo.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Expect sunny skies and a high near 86 degrees throughout your Tuesday, and heading into Tuesday night, mostly cloudy, a low around 60 degrees, and a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms throughout the night.
Weather brought to you by Feed My Starving Children. The Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack moves to the Fargo Dome to make 10 million meals in 10 days. A great team-building event for your business. Give now at fargopack.org. Dakota Refrigeration, now known as DRI, has been serving Minnesota, the Dakotas, and Montana for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, DRI is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical service needs. From the entryway to the kitchen, from hot to cold, from dreary to bright, DRI has you covered. DRI, formerly Dakota Refrigeration, with locations in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot, online at dacref.com.
Whether it's the FCS, NFL, or productivity at work, we have you covered.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
It's the Insiders on Bison 1660.
Hey, Sam, you ready to take the show on the road?
I am ready as I'll ever be, my friend. I'm looking forward to it.
Get you out around the town in Fargo and Moorhead, the surrounding areas. Get you around Bison Nation like a good friend's Darla Jean. No, very excited to meet you. Well, we're going to be doing that with the Road Tour, the Bison Road Tour here in August and September. Be at a whole bunch of places around the area here as the football season gets going this month and through the non-conference portion of the season as well in September. Our Bison 1660 Road Tour is on the website, bison1660.com, a whole schedule and list of the show dates when we'll be doing the Insiders live all around town there for you on the website. It's brought to you by the Bridges, and that's our first stop on the road tour as well. This Thursday out at the Bridges, right across from the Shack there by campus, we're going to have some really awesome new apparel from CI Sport as well. Some clear kind of fanny packs you'll be able to use. You can use those to get into the game. You need like clear bag or something. We'll have those for you. Some other giveaways, some goodies. Well, some tickets will be given away at all these tour stops as well. So make sure you stop out. The Bison 1660 Road Tour brought to you exclusively by the Bridges. They make college living and apartment living easy. Sign a lease now for fall 2024. Get all-inclusive pricing, fully furnished units, a prime location and one of the lowest deposits in town. You can tour the Bridges near NDSU today or online at bridgesnd.com.
All right, it's time to go to the Epic Companies hotline. First guest of the show, and he joins us out from Big Sky Country, Zach Kaplan of ABC Fox Montana. He covers the Grizz, he covers the Big Sky, and he joins us to talk a little Big Sky and FCS football. Cap, great to have you on, my friend. How are you, man?
Appreciate it. Heard you talking about my Red Sox. I went Friday night to Fenway Park, and that was an ugly weekend, so we don't need to talk about them at all.
All right, well, what stays or what happened in Fenway will stay in Fenway, my friend. Good to have you aboard. I want to start with your outlook on the Big Sky. The Big Sky preseason poll came out the other week. You turned in your ballot. Andy and I were talking about it earlier. It's I don't want to say an out-of-bounds ballot, but you thought outside the box a little bit. You've got Idaho 1, Montana State 2, and then you're buying UC Davis at 3. Take us through your Big Sky preseason ballot as we get ready for kickoff here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think, I feel like people just want to take what the crowd thinks. And I was feeling a little outside the box, also sticking a lot to the schedule as well. And I think when you look at, and I do think it's going to be kind of a logjam at the top. I do think Idaho and Montana State both kind of go 7-1 in league play. But when you look at Idaho and all of their tough games in the conference schedule, they get Sac State at home. They get Montana at home, Montana State at home. The only tough road game they really have in the Big Sky, they have to go to Weber State second to last week of the season. And I really think that just plays to their advantage. I think it's going to be kind of a three-way beating up on each other between Idaho, Montana State, and Montana, who all play each other this year. It's an unbalanced schedule in the Big Sky. And then you look at UC Davis' schedule, and it's even easier than Idaho's. They don't have to play Montana State. They get Montana at home, and they don't have to play Idaho either. And I think they're going to kind of luck their way into a 6-2 record in conference. And I just think the schedule really lines up for those teams. And that's kind of why I felt the way I did. But I do think it's Idaho and Montana State pretty clearly 1 and 2 in the Big Sky going into the season.
I don't hate that take. I mean, that's probably what I would have had, too. I would have flip-flopped them at Montana State 1, Idaho 2. But I think they're going to be there 1-2 and very similar records like you were saying there. But UC Davis is the interesting one. And we looked at the schedule when I think it was the media poll came out versus the coaches poll were kind of different on UC Davis. And I said, okay, why is this? Why are they ranked so high in one of the polls? And then you look up the schedule, and you're right. I think they win the Big Sky lottery. So I could see the record being good. But that's so far when we've talked to people, that's the only reason they're giving, is the schedule looks really good. Do you like UC Davis, or is it just the schedule is good and they can win some games there? Or is there actually some players on the field or some other reasons to be optimistic about them?
I think a large part of it is the schedule, to be honest. There is a case to be made that Miles Hastings is an all Big Sky quarterback. It's right on the level with Javonte McCoy from Idaho and Tommy Mellott from Montana. So I do think it's kind of like a lack of good quarterbacks at some of those other schools, guys that show out, but maybe their team's records aren't as good. The Big Sky's had a lot of those the last few years. So I think Miles Hastings could be good, but I really do think it's the schedule that just plays right into their hands. They only have really a couple of tough road games, and I just think it lines up for them. Whether that leads to playoff success, I don't know. I still think Montana State is the Big Sky team best suited for the playoffs, unless they go into Brookings, South Dakota, and it's 30 below again. I do think they're going to be right there in the mix in late December.
Well, speaking of that, Cap, Montana State makes the run to the semis, as you alluded to. They play in the snow in Brookings, and they get absolutely rolled. They will have a chance to avenge that loss early in the season, which is going to be the best non-conference blockbuster in all of FCS football this September. Montana State against South Dakota State. Do you think the Bobcats stand a chance in that game? Do you think that this is a team under Brett Vigen that's got a chance to make that jump after a runner-up appearance in 21, losing to North Dakota State, and the semifinal loss that we just talked about against South Dakota State last season?
I honestly think when they go into Brookings, it's going to be a toss-up. And I just think that that game's on their mind so much from last year. They just came out. I think they were I literally think they froze, literally and figuratively, when they went into that spot. And it's been on their mind. Obviously, their rivalry game is always going to be foremost, but they otherwise ran the table for the most part of last season. And so I think they certainly want to make a statement. And this is a team now that's been together for a few years, a lot of these veteran guys, and I think they're ready to do it. I think that game will be a toss-up. I'm excited to see it too. But I wouldn't be shocked if they went in and made an early season statement like that.
And Zach Kaplan here with us on the Epic Companies hotline, covering the Big Sky for us as we get ready for the 2023 season of college football to get kicked off. I want to focus over on the Grizz and Montana. I think if it were exactly a year ago today, they were right there with NDSU, SDSU, Montana State, and Montana. Those are the four we were talking about as really national championship contenders. And I thought Montana lived up to that hype through maybe early October and then really started to fall off. It didn't look great at the end of the season. They sneak in as one of the last teams into the field. Did get a playoff win against SEMO, but came to the Fargo Dome, and that one wasn't particularly close or competitive. Where do you stand on the Grizz? And can this be? Is it a bounce back year for them, or what are you looking at there?
Well, I do think they have way more questions. I think with Montana State, you know what you're going to get, and I think their floor is really 8-3 if they have injuries and some issues throughout the season, dealing with guys out and quarterback injuries like they had with Millard and Chambers last year. Montana, though, I think the floor is it could be a lot lower, and I also think the ceiling could be higher because they're just so, they're coming in with new quarterbacks. They're bringing in Sam Bidlack, who's a transfer from Boise State. They also have Clifton McDowell, who's coming from Central Arkansas. Scottie Pippen land down there. And then they still have a veteran, Chris Brown, who's been here. He started games, but he hasn't quite taken that next step. And, they've kind of played musical chairs with the coaching staff. They put Brent Pease in charge of the offense now. He's been an offensive coordinator in the past at Boise State. He's been around for a long time. Ronnie Bradford's in charge of the defense now. And they literally, I'm not kidding, it's literally musical chairs. They moved guys around to different position groups. I'm still getting them straight here as they get into day 2 of fall camp today. And I really think the bottom for them could be as low as 6-5 and missing the playoffs. But I also think if they get it together and Bidlack can show that he's a top 2 or 3 quarterback in this league, and they really find something offensively, then the ceiling is there to maybe be 9-2 or even 10-1.
Zach Kaplan here with us of ABC Fox Montana. He covers the Montana football program along with the Big Sky Conference out there. Zach, what other storylines are you looking at in the Big Sky? You mentioned Idaho as your preseason pick to win it. The Vandals and their return to FCS has been a huge storyline. Hayden Hatton, one of the best receivers in the country. Giovanni McCoy, the quarterback, coming off a tremendous debut season. The Kibbe Dome out there could be a playoff destination if they live up to the lofty expectations that you projected them out to. Give us a little bit on Idaho and your view on them as we head into 2023.
Well, it's crazy because they had to go on the road last year to Southeast Louisiana. They haven't hosted the Kibbe Dome, the 8th wonder of the world over in Moscow, has not hosted a playoff game since the 90s. So it would be pretty crazy if they're able to do that this year. But I just think they're so well coached. Every time I hear Jason Eck talk, from Media Day or from just talking with Hayden Hatton in Spokane, they had Media Day last week. I'm just really impressed by their program. And I think it's a lot of people think it's crazy that they can turn it around that fast, but I think it's a testament, and I'm sorry to say this, Bison fans, because I know Jason Eck's a jackrabbit, but I think I really am impressed by the way that they've turned it around, and it seems like their athletic department wants to turn it around as well. They've just been in the doldrums for football and basketball for so long, and I do think, like you kind of said, with guys like McCoy and Hatton, I think defensively they need to take that next step. They, obviously had some challenges last year, but I think the pieces are there, and like I said, the schedule really plays into it too, their ability. And Montana certainly has that date scheduled, or that game circled, October 14th, an ESPN 2 game, and I think that people are really excited about it on both sides of the rivalry, but it'll be kind of interesting to see the rivalry get picked back up. It's been dormant for so long. Montana's just dominated it, and they didn't even play for so many years. But I don't know. I buy in Idaho. They were kind of the preseason darlings, along with Montana State. But I think they're going to be really good. We'll see if the playoff success can come. But I've been impressed by everything Jason has done so far.
Bison fans are fine if he's impressive in Moscow. As long as he's not impressive as the OC for the Jacks, I think Bison fans are going to be just fine with that one. The other big storyline is the disrespect of Sac State. And I get it. Troy Taylor is no longer there. He's the one that really brought that program out of being a doormat to being a national title contender, at least a top seed. I know they lost a lot in the playoffs, but had some decent runs as well. So there are some changes with Sac State, but everyone is basically counting them as dead. And there's no chance for them to continue this success. I know it's tough when you change coaches, and you kind of got to see a program go through that a couple of times before you just believe everything's going to be fine. Like the Bison have changed coaches, but everyone says, it's going to be fine. They've done it before. Where are you at on Sac State and how competitive they can be with a whole new coaching staff and some new players, especially at the quarterback spot?
Yeah, it's crazy, and they've dominated. I don't think people realize they've dominated the Big Sky under Troy Taylor the last couple of seasons. I agree. I'm a little surprised that they haven't been getting. The people are just kind of, I don't want to say dismissing them, but kind of writing them off a little bit. That both them and Weber State, I had at 5 and 6 in my poll, and I think they will be battling for the Big Sky's last playoff spot coming up later this year. They both have new head coaches. They both come into this year with people, dismissing one of the two usually, and then you saw the huge discrepancy between the coaches poll and the media poll. At least with Weaver, Sac State has been right around 5, but I don't know. I'm not counting them out at all. I've been really impressed by Andy Thompson. He was at media day. He's a Montana guy, actually, who played here back in the mid-2000s. So I think he's got that game circled. It's going to be a night game as well. The Grizz have a ton of them this year, and it's November 4th. Last year they had a driving snowstorm with Cal Poly here that same weekend, and you know how that went for the Montana guys in the snow against the California guys. I'll just let you fill in the blanks. So it'll be interesting when they get to that juncture what the Grizz record is, because if they're still at 0 or 1 loss, but it's really going to be a massive game for the conference title implications. But if they've had 2 or 3 losses to that point, lost to someone we don't expect, lost to Idaho, then they're really the temperature will be turned up here, even if it's getting colder as far as Bobby Houck and his staff coming into the season.
How many playoff teams, Cap? How many playoff teams get in for the Big Sky this year, you think?
I'd say 5. I'd say Idaho, Montana State, Montana safely in. UC Davis, Sac State, Weber State battle for the final 2 spots. If you ask me on August 8th, I'd say it's Davis and Sac State that get those last 2 spots, and Weber just misses out. But you could convince me. I think it's those top 6 pretty clearly. Eastern Washington, obviously, I know the Bison start the season with over at U.S. Bank Stadium. I think they're going to have a lot of trouble this year. I mean, that's a brutal opener, obviously, and I just think that the athletics department, they have to schedule these bye games, and they just have a really tough time winning those games, especially when you just don't play defense, and they just haven't been very good on that side of the ball at all since I've been here. And I think Aaron Best, is going to be on the hot seat coming into the season because they missed the playoffs back-to-back years and haven't won a playoff game since COVID. So I don't know. I think the second half, the latter half of the conference is just going to have a tough time. I say 5 teams. That's what I'd have to say.
I wanted to ask you about Eastern Washington because obviously, NDSU and Eastern at U.S. Bank Stadium here on September 2nd. We're looking forward to that one. Kekoa Vesperis, the QB they're going to have there under center. Whenever we've played Eastern, they've had great quarterback play going back to You've got obviously Eric Barrier that was there forever. A lot of battles with him. Some other battles with Eastern inside the Fargo Dome and other places. What do you know about Vesperis? And that I know the defense is bad, but offensively they still look like they've got some dudes at receiver. Can the quarterback get it to those guys? Is probably a question.
Yeah, and they'll look fast. Obviously, playing on turf, indoors, and I do still think they can put up points in that game. But it just comes back to that side of the ball. They just haven't been very fundamentally sound as long as I've been covering the Big Sky. And they have a brutal schedule. They're another team, and I hate to be so tied down to the schedule aspect of it. But Eastern, they got to go to Fresno State the following week. They have to host Southeast Louisiana, who beat Idaho in the playoffs last year, and they got to go to UC Davis. That's all in September. There's a legitimate chance that they start 1-4 or 0-5, and I just, they can have all the talent in the world, but they have the schedule that's just a gauntlet. And you get to late September, you already have 3 or 4 losses. You still have to play Montana State. You still have to play Weber State. I think it's just demoralizing on a team. Last year they had to go to Oregon and Florida in the non-conference, and I think you just, when you get to November, they just kind of quit when they came here and gave up 63 points to a Montana offense that, kind of punched above its weight in that game. So I just think they have such a hard time. It's such an uphill battle to compete this year. And I'd be really shocked, honestly, if they came out of September 2-3 or better. And I just don't see a way that they beat the Bison that first game. So you can feel good about that, Fargo folks.
Absolutely. Zach Kaplan here with us on the Epic Companies hotline, covers Montana and the Big Sky out there in Missoula. Cap, great having you, man. Really appreciate you taking the time. Hope all is well, and we'll get you back on here throughout the season. Hopefully you can make another stop here in Fargo like you did during the playoffs last season. Looking forward to chopping it up with you here again.
That's the hope. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
You got it. Zach Kaplan, ABC Fox Montana, joining us on the Epic Companies hotline. Good stuff there, Andy, from Cap, as you take a look at a very compelling Big Sky conference heading into this season.
Don't mean to throw Cap under the bus now that he's not on air, but I can do it since he's not with us. I said disrespect for Saxton. He said, I'm not disrespect. I really am high on him. Then goes, I got him right there battling for 5th or 6th. I'm like, they won it a year ago. They've won it a couple of years. They were a top 2 seed, and I wouldn't pick them to beat Montana State. I would have picked Montana State first, probably Idaho second, but people who got UC Davis ahead of them, Weber State in a few, I wouldn't quite go that. I'll be happy to say I was wrong, and there's definitely a lot of question marks around that program. But I just don't want to leave them for dead quite yet. It's that absolutely. If I'm on that Hornets team, that's a chip on my shoulder. I'm using that stuff as motivation all season long. And then I can't wait for UC Davis to play against Eastern Washington September 23rd at UC Davis, and Eastern comes away with a win. Because again, UC Davis, and I was saying it too. I'm high on their schedule. Schedule does look favorable for sure. But somebody tell me a reason other than the schedule why they're going to be
the
good.
Hastings kid at quarterback. Yeah. That's the one that I think you could point to. But yeah,
I like Dan Hawkins, great coach. They gave us a battle a couple years ago here in the Dome. But after that game, they were really, really bad the rest of that season. Whatever it was, I think it was 2018 or 2017. But just give me a reason other than the schedule they're going to be good. I'm interested.
It was interesting too about Eastern Washington. I mean, your week 1 opener, when that game was scheduled, obviously this is a program that has won a national championship, has been in deep playoff runs. NDSU has had some great battles with across the season. This could be a big first month of the year for them, as it sounds like, with just the overall direction of that program, depending on the type of results that they end up getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough schedule, no doubt, and they got some really tough games in the non-conference too, but they're going to put up some points. The question is defensively, they're going to be able to rebound from where they were a season ago and where they kind of been for a while now on that side of the ball for sure.
I'm really interested about Idaho too. I would love to see the Kibbe Dome at some point. Eighth wonder of the world.
Wonder of the world. I believe basketball, I think it's Mem Gym, Memorial Gymnasium, that they've got there on campus too. My old buddy Jeff Colhane called a game out there with NDSU men's basketball, and I want to say there was 12 sets of lines.
Wow.
For basketball, there's pickleball, volleyball, floor hockey. There's a whole bunch of different lines. They've got some unique athletics facilities out there, no doubt about that.
Yeah, you get some exotic venues. Let's go back to our Epic Companies hotline. We've got Mark in America on the line, and he'll join us here at the top of the hour. Mark, you're back on the show. Good to hear you. How are you?
Hey, Sam. Welcome to Fargo.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. So, you guys talk Big Sky. We talk Missouri Valley. We talk CAA. But since you just came from the Northeast, what's your thoughts on who are we going to see coming out of maybe the NEC, the Patriot? Who's going to win the IB? Some of the other conferences, and maybe one of those teams might make a little noise like Holy Cross did last year.
Yeah, that great question, Mark. I love Holy Cross. I'll start right there out of the Patriot League. They are tremendous. Had them last season in week 2. They go to Buffalo, an FBS program out of the MAC. They upset them on a Hail Mary. Andy and I, we were talking about this earlier. They went to Brookings and they gave South Dakota State a fight. Obviously, the final score didn't end up being a close one, but they were there. They were in that game. Bob Chesney, the head coach at Holy Cross, he is legit, and he could probably go to a bigger program if he wanted to. He's probably had people knock on that door, but he has built a program moving up the ranks. He was at a D3, like a D2 in Rhode Island. I'm blanking on the names. Before coming to Holy Cross and building up that program for a number of years now. They are legit. Matthew Sluka, the quarterback, he is a Walter Payton candidate. He is a gamer. A similar game to Cam Miller in a sense. They involve him in the quarterback run game. He's a competitor. The buck stops with him. They live and die by him. That defense of theirs is stingy. So I really like Holy Cross out of the Patriot. As far as the NEC, that's a weaker league, obviously. St. Francis, PA won it last year. They were able to get in. They got a nice quarterback there, Cole Doyle, a veteran player who's done some nice things, just kind of a scrambler and improviser for them. So I would look at those teams as repeating out of the Patriot and the NEC. The CAA, for me, is what's going to be interesting. I mean, that league is ginormous now, Andy. We've got, 15 teams in it with the expansion.
Changed the name.
Campbell, now the Coastal Athletic Association. William and Mary won it last year. Coach London there doing a nice job. But, you've got New Hampshire in the mix. We will see Maine here week 2. They had a very bad year last year. But that's a program that's been in the playoffs before. You never know in the CAA. It all comes down to the quarterback play. Richmond was a playoff team last year. Reese Udinsky at quarterback and really was able to throw the ball around the yard.
I got to see somebody be consistent in that league before I'm going to say, William and Mary is great. I would have them in like a top 10 just because of what they did. And they got some great guys coming back. But in terms of stamp it, they're going to be the auto bid. They're going to win the league. I'm not going to go that far on anybody from the CAA because I just got to see some consistency without JMU. There's teams we thought were going to be consistent. I was high on Villanova. They dropped the ball all year last year. Delaware I was high on. They started out the year good and then kind of faded at the end there. And they have a lot of turnover, especially offensively, coming into the season. So I think the CAA is a little bit more up in the air. I'd definitely give the early favorite at least to William and Mary. But I'd go with you on the same with the others, with St. Francis and Holy Cross. For Holy Cross, a chance to be an auto or a top 8 and have that first round bye in the playoffs and match up with somebody further down the road. St. Francis probably maybe win the NEC, but maybe not going to be a deeper playoff run. Yeah. And the Ivy League, I know Yale was picked preseason to win that one. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter because they don't play in the playoffs. Yep. So play in the playoffs and get back to me.
Exactly.
Ivy League.
I would say, though, to answer Mark's question, I would say the one to watch out for is Holy Cross. And we saw them last year. And last year really was their coming out party, but they did lose some veterans from that squad. They do bring back a good chunk of them. I would say that's a team to be reckoned with. Fordham's also kind of honorable mention out of the Patriot. They did lose a little bit. Tim DeMora at their quarterback, they really threw the ball around. That offense was dynamic in the air. That program was right there with Holy Cross and the Patriot. And they made a nice little playoff run there and had a competitive game against UNH. But I think Holy Cross is the one to look out for. We got to take another break. When we come back, Next hour starts with our Missouri Valley Mix. We will visit with Jay Elsen of Midcoast Sports. He will talk about the Valley with us and give us the latest on what's happening down in South Dakota USD, South Dakota Coyotes Fall Camp. That's all coming up next here on The Insiders.
Hey, Bison Nation, our Bison 1660 studio is now the First Western Bank Broadcast Center. That means when we have guests like Matt Larson, Matt Entz, and others around NDSU, they come into the First Western Bank Broadcast Center. When you're listening to NDSU football, men's basketball, or anything else NDSU athletics, it's originating from the First Western Bank Broadcast Center. And even when you listen to the Insiders for all the latest on NDSU athletics, it's coming to you live from the First Western Bank Broadcast Center. First Western Bank and Trust. You can bank on us.
My friends at Northern Stone continue to amaze me. I love how they can help many size projects and budgets, but you really need to experience their brand new full-size granite slabs that are exceptional. They are truly a work of art that comes 100% from nature. Show-stopping, jaw-dropping pieces that will make an impression no matter how many times you walk in the room. These amazing granite slabs will make your office a grand, tasteful showplace, or in your home or lake home, unforgettable. See for yourself at Northern Stone.
Severe weather season is here, and with it can come storm damage. Heavy wind, rain, or hail can cause big problems for your roof. Thankfully, the experienced team at All-Star Construction is here to help. From repairing or replacing your roof to working with your insurance company, All-Star Construction will be there from start to finish. All-Star Construction's team of storm restoration experts will make sure all damage and coverage parameters are met. Visit allstarfargo.com and click Storm Damage to get started. All-Star Construction, your exterior experts.
Luther Family Ford works hard every day to give the community the best customer service in all their departments. The sales team is always ready to help, and they are delighted to have a great selection of new Ford trucks and SUVs on the lot. They invite you to stop by for a test drive. You'll enjoy working with the sales department, service department, and parts. Or, if you are thinking of selling your current vehicle, they will pay cash for it. Visit with their sales staff today or shop online, lutherfamilyford.com.
Rice Companies understands that strong buildings and strong communities start with strong connections. They know the importance of every bolt, every beam, and every handshake. Every connection must be strong. When you work with Rice Companies, you're building on more than concrete and steel. You're building on knowledge and expertise with people you can trust. People who value your investment as much as you do. Connect with Rice Companies, your local Butler builder, and experience the difference strong connections can make for your business. Learn more and see career opportunities at ricecompanies.com. Gateway Nissan announces $10,000 off new Nissan Titans for qualified buyers, plus 0% financing up to 60 months. That's right, 0% financing up to 60 months and a $10,000 rebate on new Nissan Titans. Maybe you want a luxury four-wheel drive vehicle? Then get to Gateway Nissan and check out the Nissan Armada. Save $8,600. How about a sporty new Nissan Kicks SR with great fuel economy and lease payments just $249 a month? Gateway Nissan, they have your next vehicle. Details FargoNissan.com.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
There's no need to fight. There's now Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey available. It's made with whiskey in real brewed tea. It'll take your taste buds on a wild ride that's smooth and sweet. Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey can make anyone a whiskey fan. 32.5% alcohol, 65 proof. Pick up a bottle and feel Twisky today with Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey.
I like big beats, and I cannot lie. We know you saw those trucks drive by. It's that time of year again. Express Employment is hiring for the annual sugar beet harvest, where you can earn up to $4,200 in just 2 weeks. Beat the crowds and apply now by visiting our offices in Drayton, Grand Forks, Hillsboro, Crookston, and Fargo. Give us a call today at 888-791-6738 or check us out online at sugarbeetharvest.com.
Gateway Chevrolet's lot is loaded with new Chevy Silverados. Stop by and take a test drive and find out how you can save $7,250 on a new Chevy Silverado at Gateway Chevrolet. The new Silverados are more versatile, more powerful, plus the best-looking truck with more technology and safety benefits than any other truck in the market. So head over to Gateway Chevrolet and save $7,250 on a new Silverado with trade, only at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
Bison Pride, everything we do. This one's for you, Corso, wherever you are. Give me that Bison.
This is the Insiders on Bison 1660, covering the world of NDSU sports like no other.
North Dakota State advances to the round of 32. Touchdown, Bison!
The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Welcome to your Green and Gold HQ for the Bison. The Insiders on Bison 1660 starts now.
Moving along here on a Tuesday on the Insiders. First hour of the program was brought to you by All-Star Construction. Now is the time to get your residential or commercial roofing project done with All-Star Construction. With stable prices, there's no better time to schedule your appointment. Schedule your free estimate by calling 701-478-ROOF. That's 701-478-ROOF. Or visit them online at allstarfargo.com.
And our Bison 1660 Road Tour gets going here on Thursday out at the Bridges. We've got plenty of swag to give away for you, plenty of NDSU-themed different prizes you can win. All that stuff brought to you by CI Sport, 33 years and counting. CI Sport, #1 in corporate, resort, collegiate, and high school apparel, whether it's for work or play, every day, game day at CI Sport. And we do have those tickets to Def Leppard and Motley Crue. Make sure you text the keyword ROCK to 701-476-1660. You have away a winner for a pair of tickets at the end of the show.
All right, hour number 2 underway from our First Western Bank and Trust Broadcast Center. Let's go back to the Epic Companies hotline. It's time for the Missouri Valley Mix.
The Missouri Valley Mix. The South Dakota Coyotes.
Yes, indeed. That's the first time I've gotten to hear that. And to talk about those Coyotes, joining us just off of the practice field down at USD, the voice of the Coyotes on Midcoast Sports, Jay Elsen, jumping on the program for the Missouri Valley Mix. Jay, thank you for taking the time. Good to have you. How are you?
You bet, Sam. Thanks for having me, man. Good to, quote-unquote, meet you for the first time officially, I guess, here today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you here on the air, man. Looking forward to seeing you when you guys come up here to Fargo at the end of September. Fall camp underway for USD. Bob Nielsen and company looking to get back on track. You've been there for the last few days, started up practice last week. Give us the rundown. What are the big storylines for the Coyotes as fall camp has opened up?
Well, I think first off, there was a lot of staff turnover after last year. They got a bunch of new coaches, both sides of the ball, new offensive coordinator coming from enemy territory, so to speak, and Josh Davis coming over from South Dakota State. He was the wide receivers coach there last year when they won the national championship, and so he's kind of getting his offense up to speed, and a bunch of new position coaches and things like that as well. So I guess that would be the most prevalent storyline, is just how is everything going to mesh. In the spring, I saw and heard good reports on all that. It seemed like the guys, the coaching staff was meshing well with the players and things like that, which obviously that chemistry is very important. So there's really that energy, that fall camp energy about that place right now. And I don't care who you are, if you're around football, and we're fortunate enough to get to be very close to it, doing what we do. It's hard to not enjoy that energy, regardless of your affiliation and what your job is. Just be around that, know what time of year it is again. That's a lot of fun.
Jay, what do you think the scheme with Josh Davis is going to look like for USD? Because he comes from that South Dakota State staff that, as you mentioned, I loved what they did last year. Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator there in Brookings, who's not even 30 years old yet. Davis coming over from that staff. Is there anything that we can expect him to bring to the table from his scheme to try and get this offense clicking again?
I think we're going to see a lot of operation out of pistol formation. I think that's going to be a big part of what they do. I think you're going to be seeing multiple running backs quite a bit out there together. USC has a pretty loaded room right now, and why not? You take advantage of that fact that you've got a bunch of talent at that position. Wide receiver is a bit of a question mark, only in that there's a lot of guys there. But the question more is just which ones are going to emerge as guys you can count on. I mean, they had a guy last year in Wes Elidor that had a breakout season. He went in the portal and now is playing for North Dakota. So, but Carter Bell's still there, and Jack Martin, two guys that showed playmaking ability at different times in their career. Obviously, Carter Bell at an all-league level, as he was, selected as a return specialist, a wide receiver, and an athlete as well, or an all-purpose. 3 different spots for one guy on the all-conference team leading up to the season. I mean, it goes to show you the kind of respect that he has of guys around this league. And then at tight end, J.J. Galbraith is really poised to have a breakout season, I think. And I think that's one thing that I've noticed so far is that Josh Davis is really making a concerted effort to get his playmakers to football. And I think that's something that drastically lacked with this team last year. They didn't do enough of it. Started to see it pick up after Aiden Bauman got inserted as starting quarterback, but it was just too late for them by that point. So I think that would be a great tone to set for this team right off the bat, is get those guys to football and let them make plays.
Hey, Jay, great to talk with you. Appreciate the time. Good to have running backs and receivers or tight ends you can count on for a younger quarterback, and that's what USD has coming into this year. Aiden Bauman taking over, and right away, get-go, it's his team, it's his spot. There's not really a question about that. It's nice to have that feeling when you're in fall camp, I'm sure. How has he embraced that role of being the guy, and what have you noticed different about him, the way he carries himself on the field?
You know what? I don't know that I noticed Andy a whole lot different. I thought that was one thing that really stood out about Aiden when he took over last year was that was one of the questions I was going to have when he took over for Carson Camp was, okay, how are the guys going to respond to Aiden Bauman? And I thought the offense started to get a little bit better. Obviously, it was not great. I don't think anybody has any confusion that got a chance to watch them play on that side of the football last year. It wasn't great, but it did get better when Aiden took over, and I thought the guys did respond to him. I thought he showed leadership capabilities, and now he's had a full offseason to really establish that part of who he is. And so I think that's going to be tremendously important for this team, and for them to have any chance of realizing their maximum potential. He's got to be that guy. He's got to be the vocal leader, and he's got to be leading by example in the locker room, on the field, away from the facility, all of those things. And I think to this point, everything I've heard and seen myself shows that he is that kind of guy. And I think another thing that they did that won't get headlines is they really improved their quarterback room as a whole. There wasn't a lot of competition there beyond Aiden and Carson last year, and so there was a big question mark. Okay, now that Aiden's the guy, who's number 2? And they didn't have one. Honestly, they didn't have one. They didn't have a guy that even looked the part at that time. They went out and they added Jarrett Sinek from Nebraska in the transfer portal, who was a walk-on there, but had a tremendously successful career at Hastings High School in Nebraska. They added Lem Wash, who was at Tennessee Tech the last couple of years, but was a really, really big-time athlete in Wichita, Kansas in high school, and had a lot of accolades during his time there. I would say right now, to me, based on what I've seen, it looks like Lem Wash is the number 2. And then beyond that, there's some questions. They brought in a couple of freshmen as well, one that was an early enrollee that certainly looks to have some gifts about him, too. He's got good size, big arm. I've seen his confidence grow a ton already just since what I saw of him in the spring. So I think that's another thing that's going to help Aiden, is I think the competition within his own room has gotten better, and I think those guys are going to push him to be his best and help him continue to progress at the level and rate that they need him to.
Yeah, that's a good point. You never really think about the backup quarterback spot until you need it, and then you think about it a lot. So it's good to have some options there. Where else are some of the battles in camp? I think you talked about NDSU. There's a lot of positions that you'd put up as the quote-unquote position battles and guys fighting that out, which is always interesting. Your teammates, but you're competing against each other for one spot or wherever that spot might be. What are those position battles right now in camp for the Coyotes?
On the other side, I think it's the defense. Linebacker is loaded, and so I think from a rotation standpoint, that would be a battle. There's two guys that are clearly the best guys on the team, and two of the best in the league, and Stephen Hillis and Brock Mogensen in the middle. But then there's no shortage of options to fill in around them. They like to play four backers. They've got a rush backer as well. And so, there's Parker Fryer, who was an All-American at Northwestern College when they won the national championship, the NAIA last year. He's transferred in. Cannon Blauser's transferred from Ohio University that looks like he's going to be certainly part of the mix there. Evan McKelvey is a guy that, was brought in initially as a safety and has now moved up to the linebacker spot too. So they've got a lot of guys there. Great depth at that position, which is great. On the defensive line, there's a pretty clear-cut first group. The question is the second group, and that's been one of the problems they've had. They haven't had a ton of depth. NDSU, one of the reasons they're so successful is because of that, obviously, what they can do in the trenches, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. They've always got a ton of really good dudes in the defensive line, and they can just rotate them through, and they don't even miss a beat. And that's something teams that are trying to catch the Bison and South Dakota State are trying to attain. And South Dakota is getting a little bit closer there now. Beside Newsom is a guy they brought in from Nebraska that looks to be instantly helpful to them on the defensive line. Blake Holden's been a nice player from Watertown, South Dakota, local guy that has really come on the last couple of years and has emerged as a clear-cut leader on that defense now as well. So, I look at those two spots as clear battles. Corner's another one where they lost Dayron McKinney to the transfer portal, but they've got a couple of guys fighting it out for one of the starting spots there as well. And so some questions to be answered, certainly on the defensive side. And that's where, I'm kind of paying most of my attention to right now, just trying to see how things are starting to separate. You got a full week of camp in now. Now is where you start to see that separation, where guys start to emerge as clear-cut 1 and 2 are rotation guys. And on the defense, that's certainly what I'm looking at right now.
Jay Elsen of Midcoast Sports joining us here on the Epic Companies Hotline. Jay, who are you buying as that number 3 team in the Valley this season? I think we can all agree it's SDSU, NDSU as the clear-cut top 2 teams in the league. But who are you taking? Is it UND? Is it Northern Iowa? We've heard kind of differing from everybody. Who do you think could be that number 3 team behind the Big 2?
Oh, I wish it was obvious because it would be so much easier to answer that question, Sam. But I think I'll just go with the way I voted it, and I put UNI as the number 3 team. And it's hard for me to do that because it seems like more often than not they do not meet the expectations that get set for them. But I'm looking at Theo Day, and squarely at Theo Day, because that guy is special. The season he had last year was pretty unbelievable. And I got a real good look at him in the last regular season game because he absolutely destroyed USC. And he was just making things look so easy that day. And I don't know how much of that was circumstantial with just USC kind of playing things out, trying to get the season over with, and how much of it was UNI trying to prove a point to get into the playoffs at that point. They were looking for style points, and he certainly provided them that day. He's an extremely prolific and gifted passer. And so right now, if they're pretty even, and I think the last several years, if you look at spots 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the Valley, there hasn't been a lot of distance between any of those teams. In fact, a lot of them have been dead even, at least in record-wise. And so I think you have to give the edge to the quarterback. And if you take, obviously Gronowski at South Dakota State, Cam at NDSU, obviously 2 of the better guys in the league and most successful guys certainly in the league. Who's the next best? Clearly the next best is Theo Day, and really he's probably the best if you want to just look at terms of being a pure passer and what the season he is coming off of. It'd be hard to argue against him. He's certainly not the only one in the conversation, but him alone, I think, is the reason you've got to say they get the edge right now for the third best team. Could turn out to be totally different than that, but right now going in, because of him, I think it's UNI.
Jay, how many playoff teams do you think the Valley gets in this season? It was 3 last year. You had UND. You got 4 ranked in the top 25 that came out yesterday. Can this league get a few more in there? You also got Youngstown State, Southern Illinois receiving votes. What do you think is going to be the postseason outlook for the league once we have the selection show in November.
He's giving you the easy ones, Jay. Easy.
Three seems outrageous to me. I would be stunned if it's less than 4 again. But it just kind of all depends. I mean, they all beat each other up, and I think it shows the parity of the league, which isn't just parity. It shows how strong the league is, top to bottom. I think I'll go safe and say 4, but with a full expectation that 5 is realistic. I just think that's never out of the question with this league. It shows all the time in the national polls how much respect the league has. Now, those on the playoff committee like to take hey, this is our year where we could get to the Valley down to 3, and let's take that opportunity, even though clearly, yes, I understand their record is mediocre, quote unquote, in the conference, but mediocre.
Jay, we got you.
For this league.
Oh, we're losing him. There we go.
Jay breaking in and out. Jay, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, sorry, you were cutting in.
Did you lose me? Sorry about that.
No, you're good. We lost you for 10 seconds, but we got you back.
I probably stopped making sense for all 10 of those seconds anyway. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with 4, but holding out and saying 5 makes sense to me.
I love it. Hey, we put you through the gauntlet right there. Good answers on some tough questions. We'll wrap with this. USD, just sum it up. Give us the 30,000-foot view for the Coyotes. You got the season opener against Mizzou, which will be fun down in Como. What are your overall expectations once this season wraps up for USD? What games are you looking at that excite you on the schedule? What are you circling there on that calendar before we get the season going?
Well, I see an eager team, first and foremost, one that wants to prove that last year was not their best. And they fell victim to an extremely difficult schedule, certainly, and the snowball got rolling downhill, and it was just tough for them to stop it at that point. And then injuries and all that set in, and certainly didn't help matters as well. And that's not making excuses. They didn't play well enough to win those games, to win games against really tough competition in the Valley and outside the Valley, for that matter. So this schedule this year, much more friendly to the Coyotes. Much more friendly. Obviously, you have the FBS game at Mizzou to start things off, and those are always fun to watch, just to see, kind of a litmus test as to how you stack up against a program like that. St. Thomas and Lamar back-to-back at home. Definitely both winnable games to close down conference. Tough one on September 30th, as it always is in Fargo against NDSU, but that's a fun one, and every game certainly everybody always looks forward to. I think you look at it as a whole. They don't get Missouri State this year. They don't play Illinois State. Those are two teams that most years or at least the last couple of years, you've probably been okay with not having on your schedule. But this year, to me, I think those are winnable games that they don't have now. The good news is they don't have UNI on the schedule. UNI has beaten them up, especially last year. I think their home schedule is favorable. They get South Dakota State at home. They get North Dakota at home. I've got this team right now, picked to win 7 games, in my opinion. And people might think I'm crazy based on the year that they had last year. I think a ton of that had to do with the schedule, and I think we'll get a good sense of them pretty early. If they come in and they do what they should against Lamar and St. Thomas to open the home part of their schedule, that's going to set an entirely different tone than the one they had at the start of last season. So I think I like them for 7 wins, and certainly not writing them off for more than that. I just think that's a fair number based on the schedule and the build that they're trying to complete this year. And then we'll see how it goes. But I do think this is going to be a team that's going to be much better than 9th in the Valley.
Wow. All right. Jay Elsen putting it out there here on August 8th. 7 wins for USD this season. I can't wait to see it unfold, man. And September 30th is going to be fun up here in Fargo. Obviously, it was a good fight down there at the Dakota Dome last season. So, Jay, appreciate you taking the time. Won't be the last time we'll get you on here again. But great chat, and enjoy the rest of fall camp down there in Vermilion.
Yeah, man, I think there's probably a lot of folks out there probably trying to bookmark this conversation, too, so they can bring it back to me later, too. And that's fine. That's what's fun. You asked, I answered, and we'll see how it goes. But all I know, Sam, is I'm super happy that we're talking about football right now, and that the season is getting really, really close. So thanks for having me. Good to talk to you, and welcome to the Valley, man.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. I'm right there with you. Football season is here, and we cannot wait. 25 days away from kickoff. It's a Missouri Valley Mix. That was Jay Elsen of Midcoast Sports joining us on the Epic Companies Hotline. We're going to take a break. When we come back, phones are open. You can chime in 701-476-1660. Be back in a moment here on The Insiders.
Hear the herd. Here. Bison's 1660.
Living at the Bridges has been a great experience for me, and I'm inviting you to come check it out too. Hey, it's Cole Payton with the Bison football team. The Bridges has all-inclusive pricing. That means internet, cable, electric, water, everything is included in your 1 monthly payment. And don't forget about the private bathrooms. And it's right across from the football practice complex, so I can walk to practice. The amenities are insane. A great fitness center, outdoor courtyard with fireplaces, grills, and even a pizza oven, a cyber cafe, and an automated convenience store. Tour today to find out more. Online at bridgesnd.com.
Harvest season is right around the corner. It's time to get your equipment in gear. Horn Plastics marks 40 incredible years in the business, so why trust anyone else? They've got the inventory and unbeatable discounts to make sure your trucks are ready to roll, including their game-changing Super Slide bed liners, the secret to smoother operations and protected cargo. Built tough, built durable, the Super Slide bed liners are engineered to last, saving you time and money. Join the countless satisfied customers who have trusted Horn Plastics over the years. To learn more, visit hornplastics.com. Your vehicle is likely one of your biggest assets and certainly your ultimate connection to freedom, so it needs to be kept in tip-top shape. And Jiffy Lube of Fargo will make it happen. With no appointment needed, just drive into any of the 3 convenient Fargo locations for their signature service oil change, which includes a check of all your vehicle's vital fluids and an inspection of other preventative maintenance items to ensure you're ready to hit the road. For over 40 years, locally owned Jiffy Lube of Fargo has been the place that Fargo Moorhead has counted on to keep them on the road.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think ProSeed. ProSeed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Attention, attention! Are you a plumbing journeyman or apprentice? We want you! The region's fastest growing heating, cooling, and plumbing contractor, Valley Service Mechanical, is looking for journeymen and apprentices, and we're hiring immediately. We offer competitive pay, incentives, and a fun team to work with. If you're not happy where you're at, we'll make it worth your time to check out why you should join the Valley Service Mechanical team. It's easy to apply. Online today at valleyservice.net. Just click the red banner. That's valleyservice.net.
Hey folks, don't let bad credit hold you back from buying a car. Corwin Public Wholesale can help you get financed today. Visit corwinwholesale.com or stop by their location on 38th Street South in Fargo. Corwin Public Wholesale has helped thousands of people who have bad credit, no credit, bankruptcy, repo, divorce, or late payments. And with their financing power, Corwin Public Wholesale can get you into any vehicle today. They accept all credit applications. Apply today, drive today at Corwin Public Wholesale.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
Twisted Tea.
Whiskey.
There's no need to fight. There's now Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey available. It's made with whiskey and real brewed tea. It'll take your taste buds on a wild ride that's smooth and sweet. Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey can make anyone a whiskey fan. 32.5% alcohol, 65 proof. Pick up a bottle and feel Twisky today with Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey.
When it comes to insurance, don't settle for just any policy. Choose to insure with Farmers Mutual of Nebraska and experience a service team that's local to you, backed by over 130 years of industry experience and financial strength. No contact centers and no runaround. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent today for a free, no-obligation quote. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
Hail to Bison, right here, your home for NDSU sports.
This is Bison 1660.
Did he say? Well, Sam Niederman here with you. Andy Reckoff, Sam Niederman, back in with you on the Insiders. Show brought to you in part today by the great crew at Dakota Refrigeration, now known as DRI. And DRI doing great work here locally. Been serving the area, locally owned and operated since 1974. Been helping out in Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota for over 4 decades. Refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electrical services, ice and ice machines, and beer dispensing systems. Service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're always ready for any emergency, and they are located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
All right, hour 2 chugs along here on the Insiders. Let's go to the Epic Companies hotline. You can get on 701-476-1660 if you want to chime in. Let's go to Justin. He has been waiting patiently. Justin, you're on. How are you, man?
Hey, Sam. I'm great, man. It's Justin Berger at Stony Brook. How are you?
Berger, it is great to hear your voice, man. I'm honest. I cannot believe that you have called in, but this is something that we're going to both remember. So appreciate you dropping the line. How are you, brother? Good to hear your voice.
I'm great, man. I'm great. I don't want to take up too much of your time or your listeners' time, but I just wanted to call and share my congratulations and excitement and enthusiasm for you. And I know I speak for our entire department. I know we've told you this, but I just wanted to drop into your new hometown now and tell you how excited we are for you for this opportunity ahead of you. You certainly earned it, and couldn't be happening to a better guy. We miss you very much here at Stony Brook, but excited for you and what the future holds for you there in Fargo. And I have been on hold for a minute here waiting for you. It's hard to get you guys. So I came up with 2 questions. I know I'm supposed to ask a question if you call a radio show.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part of Fargo? What's been the best part about being in Fargo is the first. And much more importantly, have you found a place to get sushi for lunch yet? Because I know it's very important.
Oh, I love that. I love that, man.
I thought you'd like that.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That is. You're going to have to tell our friend over there I say hello.
First off, he's going to tell us the story behind the sushi. So tell us. Go ahead, Justin. Tell us what's the story here on Sam.
Oh,
Sushi.
boy.
No, it was just, that was a place that Sam and I'm actually on 25A right now, and so
Nice.
The whole story is it's a place where Sam and I became friends. We went, I don't even know what it's called, Sam.
Domo.
You know what it's called?
Domo.
We went down Domo Sushi,
Yeah.
That's it. We went down the road and got sushi, I don't know, once a month, once every couple weeks, and that's, and I'll hang up now. I don't want to waste your time, but that's one thing that hopefully that anybody listening and what the fan base is going to learn is not only are you getting a guy that's incredibly knowledgeable, passionate, is going to dive as deep as possible into what you all love, and that's the North Dakota State Bison, but is also just a great guy, a great person to connect with, and a great friend. So, Sam, I wish you well. I'm going to hang up and listen now, and just know that we're all rooting for you, and wish you the best. All right, man?
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Justin, you're the man. Thank you for the kind words. Stony Brook was the best, and going to miss that place a lot. Already
Long-time
missing it a
listener,
lot.
first-time caller, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's one of the real ones, man. Justin Berger chiming in there on the Epic Companies hotline, a rising star in college athletics, that is for sure. But to answer that, well, I haven't just found a sushi place in Fargo. Are there, what is? there
There's
good?
multiple.
Yeah,
I'm not a big sushi person, so that's Micah Bindy's.
All right, Mike,
his
that's up my
expertise.
That's up my alley.
Yep.
We can go over anything NDSU related you want. I'll talk NDSU with you all day while we get in sushi.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Whatever the best spot is, I'm game for it.
I know there's a place with endless sushi. So if you like to scarf it down, I know it.
All right, let's do it. That's the one. We'll get there. My favorite place in Fargo so far it's got to be Beer and Fish, I think. Downtown Fargo, Roberts Alley, which I love Roberts Alley already. That's got to be my favorite spot in downtown Fargo. There are a lot of great spots here in Fargo. Which
downtown as a whole is just unique. It's grown so much over the last handful of years.
We went to Worst Beer Hall the other night. That was very solid. Andy showed me around Fargo the other week. We had a fun night out and excited to continue exploring that little area. I'll flip it back on you because you have been here forever now as a student and as a pro here working at the station and in the market. What is your favorite spot in Fargo?
I think I'm a Fargo veteran, I guess I would say now at this point. There's tons of good restaurants. that restaurant scene has grown and it's exploded over the last 5 or 6 years here, and even when I was in college, which is like a decade ago now. But I think my favorite thing about Fargo is just how it's growing, and you've got so many different entertainment avenues now. When I first came to Fargo, there really wasn't that many things to do if you weren't going to Lakes Country or playing golf or different things like that. But now you've got so many different avenues of places to go, just to enjoy concerts. We've got concert venues like crazy in Moorhead and in Fargo. Tons of concerts that are coming into town, different live music events. There's so many brew halls that have now expanded, and they've got concert venues and farmers markets all over the place. Like, there's just stuff that growing up in the Twin Cities, I was accustomed to. This is what big cities had. This is what the following suburbs all had. And Fargo has definitely grown, and they've gotten those things now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the place is happening, man. Can't wait to keep on diving into it. And so excited to be here. So
my favorite place is the Fargo Dome.
Oh yeah, there's no other place. There's no other place on a game. I can't wait for the first game day at the Dome. I mean, I've been in there once. We kind of snuck in when I was up here looking at places a few weeks back, and I'm forgetting the name of the gentleman who kind of let us sneak in down on the field. But that place is going to get loud, and I'm ready for it to rock this season. If you want to jump in on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. Phone lines are open the rest of the show if you want to chime in, talk some sports with us. We got about a half hour to go. Let's get to some cuts from Coach Matt Entz. He joined us last Friday. He will join us again this Friday. We had a good preliminary chat with him talking NDSU fall camp, which opened up on Thursday. Today was practice number 5. The guys have been putting on pads. They're continuing to finish up their acclimation period. And it's been pretty cool to see some of those new faces step up. Coach talked about the ever-changing state of college football when he visited with us on Friday. Here is what he had to say about all the changes and the realignment going on in the sport.
Well, jokingly, I had a conversation with Pete Thamel, or sharing text messages with him, and I said, "Isn't all that's happened is all these schools have just gone into the transfer portal too?
Yeah,
they don't like their current situation. They think the grass is greener somewhere else, and they're chasing money. And so, I mean, it's unfortunately that's the landscape and the environment that we live in right now with college athletics, and it'll be interesting to see when the dust settles, and I don't know when that will be. I'm surprised it took as long as it did for a school like Washington or Oregon to be gobbled up by somebody else. I think at some point there's going to be some reshuffling, and there's been a handful of schools in history that have made the move from Group of 5 to Power 5, and seldom have you ever seen a Power 5 team all of a sudden move back down. But you might see some of those scenarios now with what's going on in college, and all of a sudden a team that's left kind of out in the middle of nowhere with no league may have to decide that, hey, we can't be in the autonomous 5 anymore, and we need to be in that Group of 5. And so I think we're a long ways from being done. Will it affect us? I don't know. I think all we can worry about is doing what's best for the Bison and what's best for NDSU and the Fargo community. And if someone saw us as a valuable asset, I hope they would reach out to our administration.
Coach certainly locked in and focused when it comes to all the outside noise with relation to conference realignment for NDSU. And obviously with the news of the Pac-12 and the state that it's in right now, it does touch NDSU in a way, and it's something that we'll be keeping our eye on as it continues to develop here in the coming days, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it always includes NDSU to a certain extent, so and he's keeping his eyes on it. I'm sure he's obviously very focused on NDSU, but you can't help but notice what's happening there across the college football landscape at that FBS level, and thinking about how it might affect NDSU. I love the thing he throws in there at the end. And if you're this as a valuable asset, reach out to the administration. Reach out to Matt Larson and Todd Phelps and that crew. They can again those conversations with you. We're focused here on football. And he's absolutely right about that, too. But it's an ever-changing landscape, and it will be strange. He mentions, there's a possibility of a team falling from Power 5 to Group of 5. That has never happened. That just does not happen. And we mentioned it even yesterday, how in some of these conferences, there's dead weight. There's programs who have not been good for 30, 40 years and have just really never gotten off the doormat. But they're never going to get kicked out. You're not going to, there's no president or AD that's going to sign up to say, let's kick out, I'm going to throw a school out there, Vanderbilt. They haven't been successful in football. They don't really compete here. Let's throw them out of this conference and get a team that's better at this sport. That doesn't happen, and it never will. But now with the Pac-12, especially Oregon State and Washington State, if Cal and Stanford go somewhere else, or the Pac-12 never gets any other teams and they fall apart, that they might fall to the quote-unquote group of five and just merge up with the Mountain West. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. Coach also talked about the emphasis for the Bison in fall camp as they look to get on a revenge tour of sorts after last season's shortcoming in Frisco.
Defensively, just fundamentals. Not that we were terrible, but I thought just we weren't as sharp as we have been in years past. And then, offensively, just the throw game. Can we move the pocket? Can we throw some quick game? Still continue to lean on our play action, but we need to open it up a little bit. Make some access throws, just to pull some people out of the box so our run game's more effective.
Andy, that one definitely shined when we had that chat with Coach, and you love it.
Mm-hmm. Love it, 100%. And I think what he's talking about in the first part of just some of the fundamentals that we had a lot of fans and listeners that would call. And I thought sometimes they were a little exaggerated in their take on it. Didn't quite dive into all the numbers, but missed tackles they popped up more last year than they had in past years. And the phrases that Coach will throw around of keeping the cup and doing different things just wasn't quite as crisp as they have been before defensively, trying to clean up those things, maybe some of the penalty stuff as well. But I think talking more about the tackles and some missed tackles there defensively last year. And then, offensively, the running game is always going to be the emphasis at NDSU. It always has been and will be, and I don't think they should go away from that. The Rams up front are phenomenal. When you get an offensive line like they do, you should make that a huge part of your offense. And with the age of college football being as wide open and air raid as it is, defenses have gotten a little smaller and quicker. So if you can punish them with the run game, that's great. But one way to punish them with the running game is force the safeties to play back more. Too many teams, especially in the playoffs, said, we're going to put 8 here and 9 here, and we're going to go single coverage on every other, all the receivers in the set, and we're going to say, one-on-one, we'll take our chances in the passing game where we're not letting you run. You just got to have a way to free up that box a little bit more, get one body out of there. There was a lot of times you're like, that run could have gone for a big gain or a touchdown, but there was one guy there that saved it or stopped it. You get that guy out of the box, I think things could change for the running game too. So the passing game, I definitely would love to see it more wide open. I think Coach would too.
Offense, all about personnel, right?
Right.
We were talking about this the other day. I think there's a little bit of a different personnel in the NDSU backfield this year. I think there's a chance for Tamarick Williams to be that bell cow feature back to where he's going to get enough share of the carries and he'll end up getting an 1,000-yard season. NDSU's last 1,000-yard rusher, do you remember who it was?
Top of my head, probably not. Go for it.
I do.
Micah does.
I believe it would have been Trey Lance.
Yes.
I was just thinking running backs. Okay.
No,
yeah, Trey Lance for sure. Yep.
Trey Lance was the last 1,000-yard rusher for NDSU. He had 1,100 yards, a magical 2019 season. NDSU has had at least four different players rush for 500 yards or more in a season every season since 2017. In 17, it was Anderson, Brooks, Dunn, and Easton Stick. In 18, Anderson, Dunn, Brooks, Stick, and Cofield. In 19, Lance, Brooks, Cofield, Kobe Johnson. 21, this is discounting the COVID spring season. No spring season included in here. Only the fall.
I
season.
forgot that even happened. So
yeah, fall 21, Williams, Johnson, Quincy Patterson, Hunter Lipke, and last season Johnson, Williams, Lipke, and Cam Miller. The amount of balance that you've had on this team from a run game perspective, it could have been any different guy to beat you in the backfield this year. I think just a little bit, and it's not a bad thing, but just the fact that you might have a feature back and it's not going to be that 3 or 4-headed monster of rushing options, that in and of itself lends to some more incentive to throw the ball. And we talked about the receiver room too. They do return a lot of young guys from last season. it'll be interesting to see how that offense looks under Tyler Rowe here in 23.
You'll definitely have 2 500-yard rushers in Tamarick Williams and TK Marshall.
Yep.
As long as they're healthy, of course. Everyone's assuming health is here on those type of conversations. Cam Miller was 561 net rushing last year. I wouldn't mind if he was under 500 yards. I think the quarterback run game still needs to be there between him and Cole Payton. If Cole Payton wasn't here, I'd say he's definitely over 500. But between those two, you'll easily get 500. But I'd love to see, Cam Miller, more of the passing game. Just so teams, I think they respected it last year in the short and intermediate game, but it was the take the top off the defense option. Why the safeties were so down, so close to the box, just that guy can take that top off the defense, where Cam Miller's got that ability to throw the ball down the field accurately, hit an Eli Green, Mekhi Collins, Zach Mathis, whoever it is, have that option to really make teams say, we can't just come down on the box, because if we do, they'll beat us over the top. So if Cam Miller is 500 yards rushing, that's great. I love it. But if it comes with more yards passing per game, I think that's a good balance. That's what you're looking for, right? An offense that has balance. Basically,
I think we'll still see Cam in the red area. That's going to be huge, and that was bread and butter last year. 15 rushing touchdowns for Miller was tied for the best in the Valley, along with Isaiah Davis at SDSU. The taking the top off the defense. Zach Mathis back for another year. We saw what he flashed in Frisco. Huge game, 7 for 123. Can he be that vertical threat? I think you're going to get a lot of underneath stuff from the Braylon Hendersons, Raja Nelsons of the world. What do you think about Mathis this year in terms of putting it together for that big-time number one target that NDSU thinks he could potentially be?
I think we realized last year, and props to Zach, it was a healthy year, took care of his body. Some of those things are uncontrollable. You just want to keep him healthy, right? Keep him on the field, and when he does, he's going to produce. One thing I think we learned last year from Zach is he's not always going to have a ton of separation. He might look covered, but when he's covered, he's not always covered. You can throw up a 50-50 to him, and he's good in contested catches. I think that's something we definitely learned in that game in Frisco as well. He was kind of covered, but Cam Miller had that trust in him. And sometimes that trust takes reps in practice and actually trusting it in a game and coming out on the right side of it and saying, okay, I got experience throwing this guy the ball when maybe he is covered, but he's going to win a 50-50 or he's going to make me look good if I just put it in a spot where he can go get it. Clearly, he's taller than guys who are going to be out there defensively.
Yep.
So he's got a height advantage. He can go up and high point the football. Maybe not going to be burning you way down the field every single play, but he is someone that you can throw a contested ball to and trust he can come down with it more often than not.
Let's go to our Epic Companies hotline up against a break here. We'll get Mike and Minot in real quick. Mike, you're on the air. Good to have you. How are you?
Gentlemen, thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller. How's everybody doing?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Doing great. I got a lot of friends out west that are crying over this conference realignment. Wow, we're missing out on all this money. We're not going to have enough to pay for our new training facilities. We needed 3 more power squatting platforms, and we can't afford it. Guys, well, you guys are smart fellas, all that matters in college football is the pageantry, the passion, and really it comes down to winning. Look what Prime did at Jackson State. They were outdrawing FBS teams. I am still going to be in my seats on Saturday at 1800 University Drive watching the Bison beat the tar out of whoever they might be playing. Winning is what matters. It would have been significantly harder in the FBS for SDS or NDSU. Now they're going to be able to continue that dominance that they've had the last decade. And Lord, the FCS gods certainly want NDSU to keep winning. This schedule is a cakewalk. There's no FBS threat. You play 4 of the bottom 5 teams in the Missouri Valley, not to mention your 3 hardest games, NODAC, SDSU, and Northern Illinois, all spaced out by at least a week. You look over to the other side of the border and what Jimmy Rogers is dealing with the Jackrabbits. They have Montana State in week 2. They're home against NODAC, but then they start a tough stretch, 3 straight weeks. Illinois State, they'll always muck it up a little bit. And then UNI, and as you look at this Bison schedule, are you really telling me that anybody but perhaps the Jackrabbits are going to knock off the Bison? Do we really think that Nick Baker and the Salukis are going to take out NDSU or the Fighting Theo Days and Northern Illinois are going to have anything to say against North Dakota State? Are you serious? Look at the schedule. I think this is going to be the most dominating North Dakota State team since 2011 in terms of point differential, and that is all I have. Enjoy the day, gentlemen.
Mike and Minot coming in off the top rope, coming in hot right there.
Talking about squat racks and powerlifting.
Yeah.
Might want to get the Northern Iowa, Northern Illinois thing figured out.
I think that was on purpose. I
might want to get that one figured out, UNI, Northern Iowa. But, yeah, the schedule sets up fine for NDSU. We all know.
The home schedule's obviously going to have a few blowouts in there. The one part of the schedule that I think will be a challenge is just going on the road to UNI, going on the road to UND, two teams, or especially UND, that's chomping at the bit to potentially get you, and it's a little closer always up there in Grand Forks, right? November 4th is going to be a big-time brawl.
Those are two funky and loud venues. And when you're talking about the Alaris Center, not necessarily because you kind of got the close walls at the end zone sides. It gets very loud in there. Obviously, their fan base is very passionate. They've had some success lately. It's gotten some more hype around their program. And Northern Iowa, the Unidome, probably could use a facelift, but their fans, again, it's a venue where sound just bounces around, and also the turf always plays a role, right? The players always talk about the turf there, Mike, of the Unidome and slipping on that stuff.
That's what Kyle would talk about.
All the time.
But this Bison schedule, I'm going to kind of reiterate what Mike said. It's spaced out pretty nicely, but I'll say the last 3 weeks, I think those 3 weeks are going to be grinders. SDSU, Southern Illinois, I disagree on Southern Illinois. That's a talented team. They're a good team. And then ending the year with UNI was always good at the end of the year. I think the last 3 weeks are the toughest weeks.
And those two games are going to matter a ton to UNI and Southern in terms of playoff positioning and maybe even getting into the playoffs. That makes them a little bit tougher. But what's been the struggle for NDSU the last couple of times against Southern Illinois? Trying to score. Haven't scored a lot. Well, defensive coordinator Jason Petrino no longer there. So we're going to see how that defense looks a little bit different for him.
That'll be interesting. Big time call there from Mike and
Minot. Coming in hot, though. We love it.
Yeah.
People out west feeling pretty passionate. Here with you inside the First Western Bank Broadcast Center. If you love Bison football as much as Mike and Minot does, you're going to love listening to this. Introducing the Bison credit card featuring cash back rewards and no annual fee. Only available at First Western Bank and Trust. First Western Bank and Trust and the Bison. You can bank on us. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We got to get to another break. When we come back, final segment of the show, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday on The Insiders.
Where the Bison roam. Bison 1660. Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Should be a nice weather day on your Tuesday. Sunny, a high near 86 degrees, west-southwest wind 6 to 14 miles per hour. However, a small 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms Tuesday night, a low around 60 degrees.
Weather brought to you by Feed My Starving Children. The Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack moves to the Fargo Dome to make 10 million meals in 10 days. A great team-building event for your business. Give now at fargopack.org.
With the rising threat of cybersecurity attacks, you need to ensure your business is fully protected. Data loss, ransomware attacks, and other breaches can disrupt your business and damage your reputation. Consolidated Communications Cloud Secure Service safeguards your business from these attacks by securing your network, data, and applications. We proactively monitor your security to prevent intrusions before they compromise your IT systems while protecting your staff in the office or when working remotely. Visit consolidatedcommunications.com/cloudsecure to protect your business.
Don't miss Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo flash sale going on now through August 14th. It's time to relax and enjoy a rebate. You'll receive a $500 instant rebate plus smart tub upgrade for only $99. If you've been thinking about getting a hot tub, now is the time during their flash sale going on until August 14th at Jacuzzi Hot Tubs of Fargo. Your wellness journey begins with a hot tub. Bring the power of hydrotherapy to your backyard oasis. Stop by today and experience the jacuzzi difference or online at jacuzzihottubsoffargo.com.
It's Chris Hansen, and for years we have trusted the experts at Rick Electric. Since 1964, Rick Electric has been the go-to for residential, commercial, and industrial. And right now is a great time to consider having a Generac whole home generator installed. If the power goes out, you'll barely notice because of an automatic seamless transition. For work in Fargo, Moorhead, Hawley, Horace, Glendon, Dilworth, Kindred, and everywhere in between, it's Rick Electric at rickelectric.com.
How would you like an escape in August? That's right, an SUV you can use to get away to fun times. Shooting Star Casino has your chance to win a brand new ride. Earn entries all month long, plus bonus entries on Saturdays. Then on Sunday, August 27th, be here for hourly cash drawings from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. for up to $5,000. Or the grand prize at 7 p.m., a 2023 SUV ready for you to drive off into the sunset. See the details at starcasino.com.
At Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home, one of the greatest honors I have is to be invited into the life of a family who has called on us during a time of need. It is such a blessing to be a part of a community that genuinely values a life well lived and the importance of honoring that life. Having been born and raised in Fargo, and now raising my son here, I have a deeper sense of what it means to be an active member of our community. The bonds we share, the stories we live, make us who we are. Hanson Runsvold, helping families look to the future with hope.
At Cardinal IG, they don't just create innovative glass solutions, they foster a culture of collaboration and teamwork. Their employees bring a wealth of experience and expertise to every project and deserve to be celebrated. This August, Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on Ollie Noor, who is celebrating 20 years, Okabai Eaves celebrating 10 years, Taiwu Solomon and Daniel Mawa both celebrating 5 years at Cardinal IG. From the entire team, thank you. To view open positions or to apply, visit cardinalfargo.com.
Cullen Insulation is dedicated to quality from start to finish, so you have nothing to worry about all year long when it comes to your residential or commercial project. As your local Owens Corning certified energy expert, Cullen Insulation will help make your home quiet, comfortable, and energy smart. Simple home insulation solutions that improve the way you live every day. Cullen Insulation, online at culleninsulation.com. That's culleninsulation.com.
Under the stars at Dakota Magic Casino, it's Tesla with special guest Lita Ford. Tesla with Lita Ford, August 25th, outdoors at Dakota Magic Casino. Two iconic rock legends perform live at Dakota Magic Casino. Tickets are on sale now. Tesla and Lita Ford at Dakota Magic Casino. For details, go to dakotamagic.com.
Just because you own a pontoon doesn't quite make it a party barge until you visit Sight on Sound. That beauty was an investment into fun. Make sure you take your Bluetooth marine audio to the next level with brands like Kicker, Alpine, and Sony. Get noticed for style and safety when you get that tricked out LED lighting with Sight on Sound. Get to Sight on Sound today to see all the exciting options for this summer. Online, sightonsoundfargo.com.
Bring it on home from Sight on Sound.
Sight on Sound, Main Avenue, Fargo.
2 hours of sports talk every weekday, 11 to 1.
Well. Oh, my gracious.
Now, let's get back to the Insiders.
I love that. A little Uncle Vern right there in the rejoin. The great Vern Lundquist. My gracious! In your life.
Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
You big golf? Like watching golf? I've asked you. You're not much of a player.
No, I will watch Sunday of the Masters.
Okay.
And that's about
Hello,
it.
friends.
But I do need to get up to speed because I got to make sure my PGA Picks team is up to par here.
You're going to be jumping in on that.
More
people.
Did Chris win, right? Who won the last major of the year?
Chris won the first and the last. So he had the Open Championship and had the Masters. He would have won 3 of the 4 majors if it wasn't for old Tommy Fleetwood running him down on my team and Ricky Fowler with maybe a collapse for him. And then, so he won 2, I won 1, and Kyle won 1.
I took second.
Wow.
Yep.
I took second.
Michael was the first loser a couple times.
Pretty competitive league right there.
Very competitive.
Yeah. Very good stuff.
I think we got to do it for, it's going to be a FedEx Cup. We got to do something else. We'll find a way. We'll find some way to do it. I know the FedEx Cup playoffs thing, it's like, there's a little bit, some people are starting with a lead or something like that, but we'll figure out something.
I love it. Count me in. That'll be fun. We've got some concert ticket winners.
We sure do. So we got some tickets, as we're going to be giving away all week long here, for Def Leppard and Motley Crue, the World Tour at the Fargo Dome, August 11th. We said text in the keyword ROCK, 701-476-1660. And our winner today, drumroll sound effect, go. The winner, 2 tickets, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, is Ava Iverson. Ava Iverson. Oh, what? You upset at Ava? What was that for?
I think I hit the wrong button.
I was going to say, that should be a crowd cheer.
Crowd cheer.
Yeah.
That's how everybody else was reacting when they weren't Ava.
Yeah, that's how everyone else was
It's because
acting.
I texted in rock and I didn't win.
Oh, okay. That makes
dude.
no
I was
sense.
sad.
Now you're just upset about it. So, Ava, you win a pair of tickets. We'll text you about that. We'll give away some more tickets the rest of this week. So text in the keyword rock to 701-476-1660.
Now, is it like a collaboration show, Def Leppard and Motley Crue, or is it just one's opening for the other? I'm not familiar with that. Does anybody
Well, I
know?
believe one's opening for the other, but it's probably going to be some collaboration a little bit during the actual show there as well.
I might have to go to that, man. That's going to be a good one at the Fargo Dome. So, congrats to Ava.
There you go.
She's got the tickets, and we'll have a chance for more of them as we go throughout the week. That is it for us here on a Tuesday. Big thank you to Zach Kaplan, Jay Elsen joining us. Fun stuff on the phone lines. We'll have a big show for you tomorrow talking NFL. Alec Lewis joins us. He's been covering Vikings training camp on the Vikings beat for The Athletic. He will join us and break down
the soon-to-be
Minnesota
16-1 NFC North champion, Super Bowl favorite, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I just had a little blank right there because I didn't know if I wanted to commit to it,
16-1. No, you don't commit to it. I commit to it.
Yeah, that's
over
your
the top
job.
commitment. After the Twins win the World Series.
Yeah, we'll also have Craig Haley on, and he will talk FCS football for us as well. That's coming up on the Insiders tomorrow. Andy, great job. Micah, great job. I'm Sam. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Jeff from a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry. It is the diamond days of summer. So what does that mean for you folks? Well, come on over to a Cutting Edge where we have our entire natural diamond inventory on sale. You will save 25% of every single stone we have. Never before have we been able to offer such a great savings. So come on over to a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry, 4507 33rd Avenue South, Fargo.
Gateway Chevrolet's lot is loaded with new Chevy Silverados. Stop by and take a test drive and find out how you can save $7,250 on a new Chevy Silverado at Gateway Chevrolet. The new Silverados are more versatile, more powerful, plus the best-looking truck with more technology and safety benefits than any other truck in the market. So head over to Gateway Chevrolet and save $7,250 on a new Silverado with trade, only at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
Saving money.
Happy Harry's Bottle Shops in Fargo and Grand Forks has over 350 different items on sale every day. You will enjoy great savings on our huge selection of beer, liquor, wine, and cigars. Be sure to stop by and stock up while you enjoy our service and shopping convenience at any of our 5 locations.